very young patient. I think she was 5, maybe 6 years of age. So patient 1, they're in their 90s and they have a somewhat collapsed lateral aspect of their ear canal. So the cartilaginous portion, the outer third part of the ear canal, is quite narrow, it's collapsed, whereas the bony part where we are now, it's retained its normal shape and size. So we call this a protruding ear canal. So a protruding ear canal is when we enter the ear, it's narrow and it widens and protrudes outwards. It sometimes can be difficult for some patients who wear hearing aids, because if you take the cast of their ear, the wider bit of the ear, so the bony part of the ear, when you insert it, it's going to have to go through the narrower bit first in order to be sat comfortably in the bony part. But fortunately, because the outer third of the ear canal is cartilaginous, it's just semi-flexible, so it's got a bit of give, so you can actually push it through, and then it'll go through the narrowing and fit itself comfortably in the bony part. The patient had been suffering for a few weeks, been to the doctors, who just advised to use drops, and the problem would go away, but it just confounded their problem actually, and that's what drops can do. Excessive use of ear drops can actually exacerbate your symptoms for two reasons actually. So some of the drops can seep past the wax and form a little puddle near the eardrum, creating more of a blockage. And secondly, the wax or the skin can absorb the drops, and once it's absorbed the drops, it expands and swells, creates more of a blockage. So this wax is quite mushy. There's a lot of dead skin as well there, and it keeps blocking my tubes. I'm having to wriggle it. There we are, you can see there, just on cue. So I've just put some olive oil spray just to lubricate the inside of the suction probe and just change the consistency, soften the wax a bit. This wax plug was in the medial part, so the outer third was actually clear, but the wax buildup was beyond that, and it's very likely that as this wax and dead skin is migrating out of the ear, it's getting trapped in the narrowing, it can't get through, so then it builds up behind. So you can just see the patient's eardrum there to the left, and we're just using a fine end suction probe to delicately remove this off the eardrum now. Already at this point, the patient reported that they could hear significantly better, and that's because you can see the eardrum now. It's a bit of a misconception that as clinical ear care specialists, we have to clean every little aspect of wax. We don't. A bit of wax is actually healthy. It's normal for you. It's good. Wax is slightly acidic, so the acidic nature of wax helps inhibit certain bacterial growth. It also acts as an insect repeller, the acidity. Wax is also oily and greasy, and that's designed to act like a natural moisturizer inside the ear, so it prevents the skin, the very thin layer of skin that lines the ear canal, the epithelial layer, prevents it from drying and cracking. And also wax is sticky, so any foreign particles, dust, pollen that enters the ear will stick on the wax hopefully, and as the wax naturally migrates out of the ear, it expels with it any dust that's collected along the way. So just a bit of wax left on the anterior medial canal wall. Now, because the patient's still, I feel comfortable removing it, I will remove it, but it's not going to improve their symptoms per se, but it may prolong the next time they need to come in. There's also a few hairs there, so I'm trying to suction them out. There is a little bit of wax in the anterior recess. Now, sometimes that can get trapped. You can see it's hiding away to the bottom right. So I've just bent the tip of the suction probe, and I want to remove this, and you'll be quite surprised how much actually comes out. It's a lot more than that was on view. So there is a little alcove. Someone made a comment yesterday on the video when I was explaining the inferior or anterior recess, and they asked me to use the word alcove. It makes more sense, so I thought I'll throw it in there. So I'm just going to mop up around the edge. Whilst I do that, I just want to make a little announcement or notice, and it's a hard thing to say, but I feel like I kind of have to. I appreciate all the fans. It's amazing. I really appreciate all your loyal support. It means a lot to me. But in the last, it's been going on for a while, but in the last few weeks, months, we've noticed it's been an exponential increase. We're getting a lot of emails now. A few months back, I had to actually cease my messaging on my Facebook because we'll be inundated with people sending pictures of their ears, asking for advice. And now that's unfortunately translated into emails to my business. And just this evening, I've received 3 just after work. And the emails all start off very similarly. Hi Neil, I'm your biggest fan, I'm your number one fan. And I really appreciate it, don't get me wrong, but then it goes on to they're showing me pictures of their ears or hearing test results, asking me for help, and could you reply back, what do we do? And we can't simply reply to those email guys. It's not, if by replying to one, then morally I'm obliged to reply to every single one, and then suddenly I'll be just doing this all day, and it's not morally fair that I give one person kind of ear advice, and then for me I would then have to give everyone, because that's only fair. I can't distinguish one person from another. It's not fair. But it's an awkward conversation to have, guys. But we don't give online advice. First of all, because it's not safety. Second of all, as I said, I am a professional. I do charge for my services, and these YouTube videos actually they're just a bit of a vacation. I don't make much money from this. It's not the videos are not very well monetized because YouTube have deemed the videos as being unsuitable for most advertisers. So this is more of a hobby. I enjoy it, and because I train people in removing earwax, I want to obviously share some of my knowledge. But so if anyone can refrain from sending these emails, and I mean I've got an appointment with a specialist next month, a dermatologist about something, and I wouldn't dare just like emailing them saying, oh, I'm your biggest fan, here's my pictures of my of this skin rash or whatever I've got, please give me advice. I mean, that's not fair on that professional. I mean, they're qualified and they run private clinics. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there because I think it's just spiraling out of control at the moment. So this is patient number 2. It's a young child now. If you remember at the beginning of the video, I did mention that. And she's very, very nervous. You can probably see their head moving a little bit left to right. And bless her, her mum was there sitting next to her, holding her hand. And just had to be really, really careful here. So I'm using a fine end suction probe. Now, the issue with this patient was the patient's mum was using drops on a regular basis, because they do suffer from chronic wax infection. Before I talk about that, I just said that on the left hand side, you see this little purple thing. Now we don't know what that is, but the patient has the young girl mentioned she has itchy ears, and we got a feeling, speaking to the mum, that she uses a rubber to kind of scratch, trying to get inside the ear, and maybe a piece of rubber, purple rubber, broke off and flew into her ear. That's what we think what that purple bit was. So yeah, the mum was using some drops and trying to drain their ear, rinse their ear using the drops on a regular basis. But they were soaking the drops, but they weren't draining it. So what was actually happening was that this wax was getting soft, and because the ear was facing upwards, this wax, once it got soft, it drizzled further down and it settled on the eardrum and it caused a bit of a hearing loss. So just going to mop up there, and I'm happy with that now. I don't want to do any more. I can see the whole eardrum. Bit of staining at the top. By trying to get that, we could hurt the young girl. We're not going to do that. She could hear very well now. I hope you enjoyed those 2 different types of videos of an older patient and what can happen with age. So the collapsed ear canal can occur with age, gravity, the cartilage weakens, and that was a younger child who had a bit of a shorter ear canal. I don't know if you noticed that as well. The eardrum wasn't as far away. Obviously, as we age, the ear canal length can increase. From children, it's about 2.2 millimeters on average. The length in adults is about 2.6 to 2.8, even 3 centimeters sometimes. So, well, I hope you're all having a lovely evening, guys. I've got a clear wax training course tomorrow. I'm going to rest up. I'm going to put